Now let us get into initial remarks. I have one or two items that I wish to address. One is the message from Prime Minister Naoto Kan regarding assistance received from overseas, and we are distributing his message released today. They are in English and Japanese, and the point here is Prime Minister is expressing his most sincere appreciation for the condolences and assistance Japan has received from about 130 countries, more than 30 international organizations, and people all around the world in response to the Tohoku-Pacific ocean earthquake. And the rescue workers, search dogs, and nuclear power experts from various countries, as well as human resource support from the U.S. forces in Japan and others have been extended. And also, in terms of material assistance, food, medical supplies, blankets, and all the other supplies have been offered. And also, about over 670 NGOs and other non-governmental organizations have offered us their help. And these offers have all been profoundly uplifting to the Japanese people, who have come to realize actually that acutely that a friend in need is a friend indeed. Of course, Japan faces an unprecedented crisis combined by nuclear power plant, in addition to nuclear power plant incident, in addition to earthquakes and tsunamis. And Prime Minister Kan believes that receiving such cooperation from the members of the international community, the Japanese people will mobilize their wisdom to recover from these challenging circumstances through our collective efforts, and thereby successfully overcome this trying time. So Prime Minister is saying that on behalf of the Japanese people, he'd like to once again to express his deepest appreciation upon having received this truly tremendous outpouring of cordial assistance from all over the world. And next, just some of the points, salient points coming from Chief Cabinet Secretary Edano's press conference this morning. He referred to 3 points. Number one, a liaison meeting of relevant ministries and agencies regarding the relief efforts was set up today with a view to facilitating smoothly and promptly the activities of headquarters for special measures to assist the lives of disaster victims. And we are aware that there is an acute need to help those people who are being evacuated and others who are suffering from the current conditions. And number two, the higher than normal levels of radioactive cesium in fallout were detected last night. However, even if a person is exposed to the levels in question for 1 month, it would be as much as about only 60% of radiation in a round trip between Tokyo and New York. It would be as much as about 1/5 of one-time CT scan. When the levels exceed the provisional standard values established by the Food Safety Act, the authorities will investigate and analyze data properly. And last point is we are making every effort to improve the operation of rolling blackout in order to minimize inconveniences caused by the power outage. The government and Tokyo Electric Power Company intends to take a wide range of measures to cope with the situation from the mid to long-term perspectives. So that was some of the salient points coming from Mr. Edano's press conference this morning. Now let us turn to Mr. Nishiyama from NIST.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to update very briefly the status of Fukushima #1 site. Excuse me. First of all, regarding introduction of seawater to reactors, we continue to do that. For spent fuel pools of Unit 1, 2, 3, and 4, we are focusing on 3 and 4 by throwing water from pumping cars and other materials, other equipment to especially Unit 4 and Unit 3. Specifically, today, regarding Unit 3, Tokyo Metropolitan Fire Department did 1 hour operation of introducing water from the ground by pumping cars. And regarding Unit 4, TEPCO introduced concrete injecting cars to inject water to the spent fuel pool of Unit 4. And it started 5:17 in the afternoon today, and it is continuing now. And regarding the spent fuel pools of Unit 2, we on March 20th, we injected a certain amount of water to the spent fuel pool of Unit 2, and we are looking at the result of our injection. Spent fuel pool of Unit 1 is relatively stable because spent fuels within that pool has very little heat, decay heat, compared with the other unit. Secondly, I'd like to touch upon the operation to restore power supply from outside grid. Regarding Unit 1 and 2, as I reported yesterday, we had receiving of power at the power center of Unit 2. And today, from the early morning, TEPCO and related people are making effort to confirm integrity of the equipment to be supplied with electricity. That's especially the priority is on Unit 2 and then Unit 1. The purpose of this introduction of outside power to the especially plant Unit 2 is to cool spent fuel pool by re-establishing cooling system. Using seawater. Then regarding Unit 3 and 4, today we established the receiving of electricity at the power center of Unit 4 in the morning 10:35. So next action is to confirm integrity of the equipment of plant Unit 3 and 4 and connect electricity to those equipments once the integrity is confirmed. Regarding Unit 5 and 6, yesterday, as I may have reported, we changed the electricity supply of Unit to Unit 5 from emergency diesel generator to the ordinary power line from outside grid. And today, they are making effort to change Unit 6 power supply from diesel emergency diesel generator to ordinary power from the grid. And lastly, I'd like to report the status of the black and white smoke we identified yesterday. Regarding Unit 2, today we still have a small amount of white smoke. And Unit 3, regarding Unit 3, although we had black or gray color smoke, we don't have any amount of smoke today at this moment. That's all for my report. Thank you.
Then let us move on to Mr. Kato from MEX.
Thank you, Mr. Shikata. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shigeharu Kato from MEXT. Today, we give you 3 handouts. The first one is the enhanced local monitoring program. I talked about this one in the press conference last evening, but at that moment only material was only in Japanese, and now we have the English version, so I distributed this one to you. And one of the important points is that we have begun sampling of airborne dust and surface and soil in the area around Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station, further than 20 kilometers, and put this one for radioactive nuclide analysis. And second material is the title, offshore radiation monitoring program. Sorry for that. Material itself is still in English, and we are now making this into English. But this one is to see whether there are some situation in the radioactivity offshore Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station. And actually, Minister Takagi of MEXT announced this program at his press conference this morning. And we are, please take a look at the map on page 2. The right side is the land where Fukushima nuclear power station locates, and most of the right side is darker part is the Pacific Ocean. And we are going to get sample of seawater, surface seawater, in 8 points, 30 kilometers off the Fukushima Daiichi power station. And for that purpose, the research vessel Hakuhomaru has left Tokyo Harbor this morning, and now it's heading for the area. And she will pick up the sample tomorrow, and sample will be analyzed from late tomorrow to the day after tomorrow. And so I hope we can show you any result of the first-hand analysis of surface seawater of Fukushima Daiichi power station, maybe on 24th. And the third one is the routine report to you. There are many figures in these papers. But today there are new component in this daily routine report. The new component is the radioactivity analysis of airborne dust, soil, and other environmental samples, which I mentioned in the enhanced local monitoring program. And if we take a look at page 8, and also sorry for that, this is still in Japanese. We are now making it into English. And there are some figures for radioactive nuclide, iodine-131 or cesium-137, how they exist in the air. So that's a new component for daily life. And when Mr. Shikata introduced Chief Cabinet Secretary's press conference a few minutes ago, he said that Mr. Edano referred to high value of iodine or cesium in fallout. And those figures are in page 18 of this material. So, for example, you look at Yamagata, which is number 6, and Ibaraki, number 8. The figure for iodine-131 and cesium-137 is in the order of tens of thousands. And compared to the day before readings, which is in the page before, the readings were in the order of 100. So when you look at these figures, it looks like very enormous. But Nuclear Safety Commission says that even in Ibaraki Prefecture, if they calculate the external exposure based on this data, the dose is in the order of background, and the Nuclear Safety Commission says that there will no effect for human body. But at the same time, Nuclear Safety Commission says that we have to be vigilant to see how the fallout is, how the trend of fallout will be, looking at weather and direction of wind. So I think that the thing I should report today. Thank you.
Okay, now let's move on to Mr. Kaji of MHLW.
Kaji of the MHLW. I have prepared this material for this press briefing. My name is Kaji of the MHLW. I would like to explain based on the press release materials. This press release material is an English translation of my verbal explanation, which was made yesterday. That is yesterday. Mr. Naoto Kan, Prime Minister, Director General of the Nuclear Emergency Response Headquarters, has issued an instruction addressed to the 4 prefectures of Ibaraki, Fukushima, Tochigi, Gunma prefectures to stop the shipment of spinach. Also to Fukushima, the prohibition on the shipment of raw milk. Also on page 3, indicates yesterday's measurements of radioactive iodine and cesium, which was taken from food samples, 45 food samples yesterday. And the hashed portions, you'll see, are those measurements which exceed the provisional standards or provisional limits. But fortunately, these samples are all involving spinach as well as raw milk, whose shipments have already been stopped. So there are no new items to be reported where the measurements exceeded the provisional standards. As for today's readings, they're still being tabulated, and the results of today's readings will be reported to me at 7:30. So I wish to report on the latest developments or measurements for today, tomorrow morning.
Ministry of Land Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism to have a brief comment.
Thank you, Mr. Shikata. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From Ministry of Land Infrastructure and Transport and Tourism, we'd like to input 3 items. From myself, I would like to introduce the IMO, that is International Maritime Organization, United Nations Specialized Agency, responsible for the safety and security of shipping, etc., made a press release which says no restrictions on travel to Japan. Details distributed in the paper, one piece of paper. And second item is the similar press release was made by International Civil Aviation Organization, that is also the United Nations Special Agency, ICAO, made a similar press release on 18th March, last week. And following the ICAO's press release, IATA, the International Air Transport Association, made the same kind of the press release. You can see the details in the paper distributed. The third point was introduced by Mr. Takahashi of Port Bureau of our ministry.
I'm Takahashi from the Ports and Harbor Bureau of the Ministry of Transport. Today, I would like to show you how to receive the precise information about the radiation exposure around the port of Tokyo and Yokohama. We give you 4 pages of material like that. You can find the mark of MLIT, Ministry of Land and Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism, on the left-hand side. And in the middle, you can see the 2011 Tohoku district of the Pacific Ocean earthquake in red. And if you click on this point, you will be access to the second page. And the second page, there are some topics on the earthquake related to transport and tourism. And in the middle of the topics, you can see the measurement of radiation dose around the port of Tokyo and Yokohama. Also, you can see one line above, measurement of radiation dose around the metropolitan airports. And if you click on the measurement of radiation dose around the port, you can proceed to the third page. And on the third page, this is the outline of the exposure, radiation exposure. This is the version of today, 21st March, yesterday. And currently, the level of radiation in Tokyo City and Yokohama City were as shown in the attachment at very safe level to health. And if you want information in detail, you can click on the point of 21st March 2011. This is a final page, the fourth page. This is detail. And for example, around the port of Tokyo, March 21st, there is radiation exposure 58.5 nanogray. Nanogray is nearly the same as nanosievert. So this is nearly 0.40585 millisievert per hour. And you can convert numerical data to the yearly data. This is 0.51 millisievert per year on the right side. And you can compare the data to some example, like in the box in red. For example, chest X-ray, once time, you can be exposed 0.05 millisievert. So current situation, this is the very low level for human health. And at the end of this occasion, I would like to say the Tohoku and Kanto region has been heavily damaged by the earthquake and the tsunami. And people in these regions needs a lot of water, oil, and food, and also raw materials for reconstruction. And so I would like to say, please deliver the precise information to your country. And I hope, sincerely hope, the maritime service, international maritime service, continue as usual for people in Tohoku and Kanto region. Thank you.
There's just one more additional comment from Mr. Kaji.
はい、厚生労働省の
Yes, Kaji of the MHLW. I forgot to tell you one thing. As of today, I believe that someone from AP asked this question yesterday, but a question relating to food, about food, particularly shellfish and fish. As I explained yesterday, we have begun examining shellfish and fish, and today to the related Fukushima, Chiba, and Ibaraki prefectures, we have asked them to conduct and reinforce monitoring examinations of their marine resources. From what I hear from experts in the field, iodine 131 and its accumulation in fish is probably nil, non-existent. That iodine 131 will most likely not accumulate in fish. Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, Mr. Takeshi Matsunaga from Foreign Ministry have a brief comment.
Thank you, Mr. Shikata. I'd like to touch upon the foreign assistance briefly. Yesterday, I mentioned about the rescue team. Today, I'd like to refer to the assistance with respect to the provision of goods. So far, we have received a generous offer of provision of goods from as many as 14 countries, which are China, Taiwan, Mongolia, India, Canada, Maldives, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, Russia, Republic of Korea, Ukraine, France, and Israel. We have received offers from these countries and regions. Blankets and water are arriving in the area affected by the earthquake and tsunami already. And those goods already arrived in those areas from the as to the assistance provision of goods from China, Taiwan, Mongolia, Russia, Singapore, Indonesia, Kyrgyzstan, and France. And I also would like to add that transportation is being offered by the U.S. forces in Japan. And also transportation is being organized for those goods from India, Thailand, Canada, Ukraine, in liaison with Red Cross Japan, and also using grant assistance from Thailand, Canada, and World Food Program. Thank you.
Now we are moving on to question and answer period. When you ask a question, please identify yourself with your name and affiliation. And please limit your question to only one question so that as many press or journalists can ask questions. And when you ask questions, please tell whom you wish to ask a question. Now I will open the floor to your questions. Okay. Go ahead.
Peter Robert from the Australian newspaper. Question, I suppose, for Mr. Nishiyama. Can you briefly describe the condition of the other power stations, the nuclear power stations which shut down on March the 11th, including whether any emergency measures have had to be taken there, or they have suffered any damage, and if they have not yet returned to service, when they will be likely to return to service. Thank you.
オーストラリアニュースペーパーのものですけれども、西山さんに質問があります。3月11日に停止したその他の原子力発電所と言ってますので、福島第1以外のということだと思いますけれども、この現状に関して、現在の状況に関して簡単にご説明いただけますでしょうか。何か緊急措置を取る必要があったのかどうか、あるいは何らかの被害があったのかどうかで、今現在他の原子力発電所が運転していないという状況であるならば、可能性としてはいつ頃運転再開が行われると予想されますでしょうか。
今回の地震で影響を受けた福島第一以外の発電所は、福島第二の4基と、それから福島東海第一の第2か、東海第2の1基と、それから女川の3基のうちの、多分1基だと思いますけれども、これが動いておりました。
Nuclear power generation plants that were affected by the earthquake that we had just suffered, besides the Fukushima number 1 nuclear power plant, are as follows. 4 units at the Fukushima number 2 nuclear power generation plant, 1 unit at the Tohoku-Pacific, 1 unit at the Tokai number 2 nuclear power generation plant, and 1 unit out of 3 at the Onagawa nuclear power generation plant.
いずれもこれは地震で停止をいたしまして、それで外からの電源も供給されているので、電気も供給されているので、今安定的に低い温度での停止状態になっています。
But in any event, all of the units that I have described, other than the Fukushima number 1 nuclear power plant, have shut down as a result of the earthquake that we had experienced. But they all have a supply of outside power source. And are now shut down in a very stable manner at a very low temperature, what is called cold shutdown.
There was one final part of that question, if you don't mind. When will those three, with the units at those three power stations, when are they likely to return to service?
で今おっしゃった3つの原子力発電所の現在動いてない原発、原子炉はいつ頃運転再開されるでしょうか。予想でしょうか。
それはやはり今回こういう大きな津波が来たことによって、福島第一に被害が生じたということからして、住民の方々、原子力発電所の住民の周りの住民の方々などには不安がありますので、そういったところをまず、発電所の機器の健全性を確認するということと、実際に動かせるようになったときに、これからの津波などに対策を、津波などがあるかもしれないという条件の中でどういうふうに動かすかということについて、住民の方に納得を得なければいけないと思いますから、まだ今の段階ではいつ動かせるというふうにはっきり申し上げられません。
As a result of the damage that the Fukushima No. 1 nuclear power plant suffered from the very huge tsunami that we experienced after this earthquake, the residents living in the areas surrounding these other three nuclear power generation plants are also concerned as well. And so, first of all, we have to confirm the integrity of the various equipment in these nuclear power generation plants. And once they are in a situation where they can return to service, we have to look into how they can be returned to service, taking into account the possibility that large earthquakes could happen. And also we have to gain the acceptance of the residents in the surrounding areas as well before we can put these nuclear power generation plants back into service. So I'm not able to say at this point in time for sure by when we will be able to put these other nuclear power generation plants back into service.
Thank you. My name is Rick Wallace, also from the Australian newspaper. I have a question for Mr. Nishiyama about the elevated iodine and cesium reading in the seawater sample taken off the Fukushima plant. And the question is this thought to be caused by spraying water that's being pumped into the plant, running off into the coast or into the ocean off the plant? Or is that water somehow being restrained from flowing into the coast, and the reading is likely to be from airborne particles settling on the ocean?
私もオーストラリアニュースペーパーのものですけれども、やはり西山市議会に質問です。福島第一原発の沿岸の海水の中から相当高いレベルのヨウ素とセシウムが検出されたということですけれども、これは原発に放水されている水が原発の中から流れ出していることによってヨウ素とセシウムの値が高くなっているとお考えでしょうか。それとも原発に放出されている水は海水に流れ出さないようにきちんと処置がされていて、この海水のヨウ素およびセシウムの値が高いのは例えば空中に舞っているヨウ素とセシウムが海水に落ちた結果だとお考えでしょうか。
その原因は今はっきりいたしませんけれども、今おっしゃった2つとも可能性があると思います。ただその中では後者の、空中から来る方の要因の方が大きいというふうに私は感じています。
At the moment, we are not sure what the cause of the elevated levels are. I can say, however, that both of the two possibilities that you mentioned is possible. But my sense is that probably the latter of the two possibilities that you mentioned, in other words, airborne particles settling on the ocean, I believe has a large possibility.
Sorry. Thomas Davidson from Unit, Boston. Danish paper. I think my question is to the same gentleman. A few years ago, in 2007, there was another accident at the Kashiwazaki nuclear plant in Niigata, and that plant has still to be rendered fully operational. Most of the reactors are not operating at the same time. They were before the accident. Now it's only one at a time. And now we have Fukushima. What is the government going to do to make sure that it's not just a matter of time before another Kashiwazaki or even worse, another Fukushima happens, as both of these nuclear companies belong to TEPCO, Tokyo Electronic Power Company. So what's the government going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again?
デンマークの新聞社のものですけれども、やはり西山審議会の質問なんですけれども、数年前2007年にも柏崎原発において新潟の柏崎原発でもやはり事故があって、で依然として柏崎原発は完全には運転が再開されていない。この2007年の事故以前は柏崎原発の全ての原子炉が同時に運転していたのに、事故後は復旧したといっても1個ずつ原子炉が1個ずつしか運転されていないんですけれども、その中で今度はまた福島原発でこういうことが起こった。福島あるいは柏崎と同じようなことが再び起こるのが時間の問題だというようなことにならないよう確保するために政府としては何をするつもりなのか。この柏崎原発も福島原発も両方とも東電の原発ということで、再びこのようなことが繰り返されないために政府としては何をするおつもりなんでしょうか。
確かに柏崎の時は揺れが予想より大きかった。それから今回は津波が予想より大きかったということで、日本のこれまでもかなり高いレベルの耐震の地震に対する抵抗の水準がありましたけれども、それを超える現象が起こってしまいました。
At the time of the Kashiwazaki incident, the oscillations were larger than we had expected. And this time at the Fukushima nuclear power generation plant, the tsunami was far larger than we had expected. And while the Japanese nuclear power plants adopt a considerably high level of anti-seismic measures, for both of these incidents, what happened was far beyond, the phenomena was far beyond what we had expected.
それでこの2つのことが経験されたので、やはりこれから原子力発電所を動かすにはこういう大きな災害にも耐える形の原子力発電所を作っていかなければいけないわけです。ただ片方で、日本の電力の需要を賄うにはどうしても原子力発電所が必要だという事実があるので、この2つを考えながらなるべく安全な原子力発電所にしていくような政策を取るということですが、まだその具体的なやり方についてはこれから検討していくというところです。
Now that we have experienced these two phenomena, in order to operate a nuclear power generation plant going forward, it means that we have to construct a nuclear power generation plant that can withstand disasters of a magnitude that we have experienced on these two occasions. On the other hand, in order to meet the demand for electric power in Japan, we absolutely need to have nuclear power generation plants. And so we have to take these two factors into account and take policies that would be able to ensure the safety of nuclear power generation plants as much as possible, and the concrete measures and policies we will have to consider going forward.
Steve Herman from the Voice of America. We had an assessment from the IAEA yesterday that things were not yet under control at Fukushima 1. The U.S. Embassy has just put out something saying that the radiation levels inside the nuclear power plant are still at a very dangerous level. We've had no word from anyone in the government yet that things are under control as far as the reactors. What is your assessment? I guess this is probably for Nishiyama-san. What is your assessment today, right now, as to where we're at? Are we in the safe zone yet? Is it still very dangerous? Is there still a chance of recriticality of the spent fuel rods? Is there still a chance of total core meltdown in the reactors? Can you just give us an overall assessment to tell us where we're at?
ボイスオブアメリカですけれども、昨日 IAEA の評価では福島第一原発はまだコントロール下にはない、まだ収集には至っていないという評価を出しておりますし、また本日アメリカ大使館の発表したところでは放射能レベルは依然として危険な水準にあるということがアメリカ大使館から発表されております。これに対して政府からは原子炉に関してアンダーコントロール収集に向かっているという発表は、依然としてないんですけれども、西山さんの今現在の評価を伺いたいと思います。もう安全圏に入ったのか、それともまだ非常に危険な状態なのか、そして、使用済み核燃料が臨界点に再び達する可能性というのはあるのか、あるいは原子炉の炉心が完全にメルトダウンする可能性というのはまだあるのかなどを含め、現在の全体像としての評価をお聞かせ願いたいと思います。
今我々は今おっしゃった、原子炉とそれから使用済み燃料についてこれを安定的な状態で、低温で安定的な状態に持ち込むための、必要な手を打っているというふうに考えています。
Currently, I believe that at the moment we are taking the necessary measures to bring the reactor itself as well as the spent fuel to a stable situation at a low temperature level.
しかしまだ電気が通じていない。先ほど最初にご説明したようにこれから電気を通じていくことによってそのプラントの中の実態が明らかになりますので、それによって果たして我々の打ってる手が十分なのかどうかを確認するとともに、この電気を使った形で、持続可能な冷却システムを確立したいと考えています。
However, we still do not have electricity power supply in the nuclear power generation plant. And so as I explained to you at the outset, as we restore the electric power supply, we would be able to know for sure the actual situation that we are now facing within the nuclear power plant and be able to confirm whether the measures that we have been taking so far are adequate and we intend to establish a sustainable cooling system by using the electric power supply.
それで使用済み燃料が再び臨界に達することは今は我々としては非常に可能性は低いというふうに思います。 それから、燃料についてはすでにある程度、既存されているダメージを受けていると思いますけれども、これがさらにメルトダウンというようなさらに悪い事態に行くことは今のところは想定していません。
Regarding the reaching of weak criticality by the spent fuel, we consider at the moment that the possibilities are extremely low that the spent fuel will reach a criticality. And also regarding the fuel has already been damaged to a certain extent. But we do not anticipate that the situation will aggravate any further, and we do not anticipate any possibility of a meltdown.
Hello. Vladimir Smigarov from Russian government newspaper Российская газета. My question is also for Mr. Nishiyama. According to that, we in Russia we have experience of Chernobyl disaster that is okay. We understand that it's not similar to current Fukushima situation, but the question is, did you contact our Russian scientists, nuclear scientists, on that, based on the experience they have with Chernobyl?
Did you consult? Contact. ロシアの政府系の新聞ですけれども、西山審議会に質問があります。今までお話ではロシアではチェルノブイリの経験があるんですけれども、今回の福島原発の状況というのはチェルノブイリと同じではないということは理解しておりますけれども、私が伺いたいのは今回の状況に関して、ロシアの専門家に連絡をされましたでしょうか。
まずチェルノブイリと違うということは皆様お分かりだと思いますけど、一言で言えばチェルノブイリには格納容器という全体を覆う頑丈な容器がありませんでしたし、それから運転員の方がその安全のための措置を外してしまった状態で起こったというような今回の福島とは全く違う形で起こったということをまずご理解いただきたいと思います。
I believe you all understand that what we have now at Fukushima is not similar to Chernobyl. In one word, in the case of the Chernobyl incident, there was no containment vessel. In other words, the strong, sturdy vessel that covers the entire reactor. And also, in the case of the Chernobyl incident, the operator turned off the safety precautions that were built in to the reactor. So I hope you understand that the situation that we have in Fukushima is totally different from what happened in Chernobyl.
それを前提として、ただロシアからはプーチン首相をはじめとして大変日本に対してご協力の申し出をいただいておりまして、ロシアからもこの原子力の非常に詳しい方が来日されて意見交換をしたところであります。
So on that understanding, we have received offers for cooperation from Prime Minister Putin and others from Russia, and a nuclear expert from Russia came to Japan, and we did have an exchange of views.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jerris from Beijing Youth Daily. My question is also for Mr. Nishiyama. I'd like to know more information about the international assistance after the incident at the Fukushima nuclear power plant. For example, how many countries have sent experts or given some advices or have provided some equipment to Japan? Thank you.
私、北京のデイリーニュースですけれども、西山審議会に質問があります。 福島の原発の事故後に国際的な支援としてはどういったものがあったのか、もう少し情報をいただけますでしょうか。例えば何カ国から専門家の派遣があった、あるいは助言があった、あるいは何か機器類の提供があったなどに関してお聞かせいただければと思います。
今全体の国の数をちょっと記憶してないんですけれども、IAEA、それからアメリカの NRC をはじめとして、世界の各国からいろいろなアドバイスや、それから機材の提供の申し出を受けたりしております。
I don't remember the exact number of countries, but we have received various advice as well as offer for making available equipment and others from the IAEA, the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, as well as many other countries.
それで我々はこの皆様の温かいオファーに対して非常に感謝しているところであります。で実際に今、そういうアドバイスの中のどの部分、あるいは機器の中のどの部分をこの福島第一での行動に使えるかということを考えながら決められたものから使うことを決められたものからどんどん導入しているところです。逐次導入しているところです。
And we are now looking into which part of the advice or which of the equipments that have been offered can actually be used in our recovery activities of Fukushima #1 nuclear power generation plants. And we are introducing the equipments as we make the decision that we will be able to use a particular equipment.
Let me just add some information in addition to what Mr. Nishiyama mentioned. Already there is a reference to the cooperation from IAEA. As you have heard, the IAEA expert team came to Japan and conducted the contacts with the Japanese counterparts as well as the U.S. Energy Department's experts. And also there were protective suits that was provided from the United States. WHO, we have been in very close contact with all the health organizations. And as for the protective suits that I referred to, that was something that was provided from USAID. And there are all different kinds of assistance coming from U.S. forces, including the firefighting vehicles that was sent from Yokota and Negishi to spray water vis-a-vis the units, and some of the pumping facilities from Sasebo and others. So we have been receiving a lot of assistance for the situation in Fukushima Daiichi.
すみません、AP 通信のようですが、西山さんにお尋ねしたいんですが、一つは先月確か福島第一原発の10年間の支援長が許可になったと思うんですけれども、現状を見るとこれはもう白紙というふうになるわけでしょうか。それともう一点は1号機の非常用のディーゼル発電機に何か金属疲労が生じていて、津波等のその変に関わらずその使用が難しい状態だったという報道があるようですが、これについては確認していらっしゃいますでしょうか。お願いいたします。
I am Yamaguchi from Associated Press. I have a question to Mr. Nishiyama. My first question is, last month, I believe, the certification was given for extending the operation of Fukushima No. 1 power generation plant for another decade. Would it mean that as a result of the incident that was experienced this time, that will be revoked, or everything will go back to square one? My second question is, for the No. 1 unit of the Fukushima nuclear power plant, we have heard information that the emergency diesel power generator was undergoing fatigue, metal fatigue, and was difficult to use regardless of whether it was damaged by the tsunami or not. Can you please confirm this information?
まずこの10年間の延長の許可については、それ自身をこの津波の影響によって何か変えるというよりも、これから先いかにこの津波対策をした形で再出発できるのかどうかというところが問題だと思います。
First of all, regarding the 10-year extension or the permit for the 10-year extension, rather than any changes being made to the permission itself because of the effect of the tsunami, I believe the important point that we need to consider is how we will be able to recommission the nuclear power plant upon taking various necessary measures to deal with the situation.
それからディーゼル発電機の金属疲労の件は私は今よく存じませんけれども、いずれにしても津波によるダメージが大きかったと思います。
And regarding the metal fatigue for the diesel power generation plant, I'm not aware of the details, but in any event, I believe the large part of the difficulty that the diesel power generator faces has been caused by the damage from the tsunami.
I think I have to go very soon, and I should limit the questions to Mr. Nishiyama, maybe additional 2 questions. Yeah.
My name is Don Karen, CBS Radio. I'm sorry, you may have covered this, but how many workers are actually back there in the plant at any given time, and how many are at each part of the plant? And I see turning pages that's probably there. And then another question would be, what percent of the total national power needs are now being met, and what percent are not being met as a result of this episode?
CBS ラジオのカークと申します。これは以前にもお答えいただいたことかもしれませんけれども、現在原発において一定期間において何人の作業員が中に入っているのか、そして原発の各部分、各部署というか各パートにおいて各部分に何人ずつ作業員が今配置されているんでしょうか。今めくっておられるページのどこかにきっと書いてあるんじゃないかと思いますが、それと第2の質問は、今回の原発の事象の結果、日本の電力需要の何割ぐらいが満たされていて、何割ぐらいが満たされていないのでしょうか。
ちょっと今ページをめくってるんですけれども、人数、最近調べたものがちょっと見当たらなくなってしまいましたが、今緊急時対策室という放射性物質から、守られる場所が、確か700名を収容できるところだと聞いておりまして、福島第一の場合にはですから、その人数のと、それからそれが電力会社および関係会社の方々で、そこに今放水をしている自衛隊とか、消防局とか東京消防局などの方々の人数が加わるということですから、全体としては1000名より少し少ないというくらいじゃないかと思います。
I am turning the pages, but I can't find the numbers of workers that I had checked before I came here. We have a emergency room within which we have an emergency room within the Fukushima #1 nuclear power plant, which can accommodate 700 people, which are mainly the employees of TEPCO and employees of the subcontractors and affiliated companies. And in addition to those workers from TEPCO and their affiliated companies, we have members from the Self-Defense Forces and the Tokyo Fire Department and others who are now working on the spraying of water. So I would say in total there are little less than 1,000 people now.
ちょっと私はその電力の需給の方は担当ではないので今定かでないんですけれども、大体需要の8割、東京電力東北電力管内で需要の8割とかそのぐらいの今東京電力の管内で言えば需要の8割ぐらいの今供給力ということではないかと思います。
And in response to your second question regarding the supply and demand of electric power, that is not my area of responsibility, so I would not be able to give you an exact answer. But I would imagine that within the Tokyo Electric Power Company area, the supply of electricity is about 80% of demand.
One last question for Mr. Nishiyama, if there is any. Anybody who's new to the question? Okay.
Me, Thomas Davis, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Nishiyama. I don't mean to rehash something that you've already talked about. I just wanted to be clear. How much of the damage we are seeing in Fukushima does the government blame on the tsunami? And how much could perhaps potentially have been avoided by other safety procedures on behalf of TEPCO? Thank you very much.
どこのニュースだかは先ほどデンマークの方ですけれども、今日本当にお時間取ってくださってありがとうございました。もうすでに説明されたことを蒸し返すつもりはないんですが、単にさらに確認をしたいだけなんですけれども、今回の福島原発の受けた被害のどのぐらいの程度が政府としては津波のせいだと考えていて、どのぐらいが東電による安全措置などによって場合によっては避けられたかもしれないと思われる被害だと思っておられるんでしょうか。
今回のダメージのほとんどは津波によるものでありまして、東京電力が 原因になったものは今は思いつきませんけれども、これからいずれにしても全体をもし事態が落ち着いた時には全体をレビューしていくことになると思います。
I would say that most of the damage can be blamed on the tsunami. And right now, anything that might have been caused or could have been avoided by any measures taken by TEPCO, really nothing comes to my mind at the moment. Of course, once the situation settles down, we would have to review the entire situation.
You have any other questions addressed to other officials, please do so. We can take a few questions. Okay, then Peter.
Just a question I wanted to ask you, back to you. You said, in answer to a question about the relicensing of, or the extension of the licensing of Fukushima No. 1, that one of the most important consideration was how the plant could be properly recommissioned. Now, my understanding from what Edano-san has been saying in recent times is that the government's intention that Fukushima Daiichi does not reopen. Can you clarify that, please?
I guess we have not come up with a definitive statements on the future of those the plants or units, but under the current circumstances and the developments taking place for those units, after pouring, for example, seawater, it would be challenging to restart those reactors. That's my understanding.
Here from Radioactivity. One question that is bothering me is about the exposure to radiation for workers in the South China Kingdom 2010.
As far as the risks possibly taking place for those workers, as you have seen in the process of coping with the troubles for different units, there has been up and downs in terms of the number of workers who have been on site. So when there was, say, smoke or fire taking place, there were emergency kind of measures to leave the sites and to limit the number working on site to a minimum in order for the protective measures or precautionary measures. But as the situation becomes stabilized, we have room for more workers coming back to the site in order to engage in, for example, possible power connectivities and to engage in the cooling of the reactors. Any other questions? Okay, yeah.
Are the workers who left yesterday back on site now?
I think that's the case. You're talking about the smoke coming in the evening, and I think there was a resumption of the work for those on-site workers. And the number that Mr. Nishiyama referred to is the current number, which has been a bit increased from yesterday's explanation from Mr. Nishiyama himself.
But they were in some emergency room. They weren't necessarily working on the actual units. He described them as all being in the same room somewhere. They weren't actually working there.
But they are on site, and of course it depends on the situation of individual units, and Mr. Nishiyama didn't really elaborate on where those workers are, except many of them are inside the emergency room, but what we are trying to do is to engage in actual on-site work to resume power transmission and cooling activities. And I take a point that our situation in terms of placing workers is not ideal at this point of time. No other questions? Then let us conclude today's briefing. And I guess for the time being, we would try to hold this kind of press conference in the evening, once a day for the time being. It's not indefinite. Thank you very much for coming.